They were Hollywood royalty, known for sophistication and unparalleled talent, yet they'd chosen a quiet, sun-drenched corner of Mexico for their golden years. Suddenly, headlines emerged with a bizarre report. The bodies of Gene Hackman and his wife had been discovered by an unknown caller claiming to be the caretaker of their remote estate. As the story unravels, unsettling clues about their final moments have surfaced, leaving more questions than answers. Law enforcement officials say they received a startling 911 call around dawn. The caller, whose voice seemed calm yet oddly detached, introduced himself as the couple's caretaker. He claimed he arrived to water the plants, only to find both Gene Hackman and his wife unresponsive in their living room. Within minutes, emergency services arrived to a scene that has been described as both orderly and deeply disturbing. Conflicting details of this phone call, ranging from the caller's inconsistent statements to the abrupt end of the conversation, hint at layers of secrets still to be unearthed. In recent years, Gene Hackman largely retreated from the Hollywood spotlight and found solace in this secluded coastal village. Locals say the Hackmans were well-liked and maintained a modest, private lifestyle. They shopped at local markets, made small talk with neighbors, and were occasionally sighted dining out. Some speculate they wanted a final chapter free from the demands of show business. Others recall subtle changes in their routine during the last few weeks, as though they were preparing for something, though it's unclear if that something was the looming tragedy or something else entirely. Many retirees have flocked to this same region over the years, drawn by beautiful beaches and a perception of safety. Local folklore abounds with tales of wandering spirits and hushed disputes over land once owned by distant families. Despite its reputation for warmth and tranquility, the area has seen periodic spikes in petty crime, making outsiders wonder whether hidden threats lurked closer to the Hackmans' doorstep than anyone suspected. Combined with the couple's own discretion and isolation, these rumors cast an even heavier shadow on the mysteries surrounding their demise. A handful of neighbors came forward with conflicting accounts of the hours leading up to the caretaker's discovery. One neighbor recalled hearing raised voices the previous afternoon, but another claims the couple seemed content earlier that same evening. Adding to the confusion, the caretaker's call time doesn't quite match with the evidence from cell phone records, implying there might be discrepancies in his version of events. While the local community grapples with shock, these conflicting pieces of evidence only deepen the mystery. Word spread quickly around the area and eventually filtered back to the States. Despite his calm retirement, rumors abound that Gene Hackman held grudges from past Hollywood entanglements. Others whisper about possible threats from opportunistic acquaintances who targeted wealthy retirees in Mexican coastal towns. A few mention an ongoing, low-key legal dispute involving land rights that had left the Hackmans uneasy. None of this, however, fully explains their abrupt end, or the caretaker's cryptic phone call. Many retirees have flocked to this same region over the years, drawn by beautiful beaches and a perception of safety. Local folklore abounds with tales of wandering spirits and hushed disputes over land once owned by distant families. Despite its reputation for warmth and tranquility, the area has seen periodic spikes in petty crime, making outsiders wonder whether hidden threats lurked closer to the Hackmans' doorstep than anyone suspected. Combined with the couple's own discretion and isolation, these rumors cast an even heavier shadow on the mysteries surrounding their demise. Authorities stated they were piecing together the scene, but declined to release certain critical details, fueling even more speculation. The caretaker insisted his only motive was to check on the property, yet neighbors report rarely seeing him before. This caretaker's name and background are still unverified. No one can confirm how long he'd worked for the Hackmans, or if he'd done so at all. While the local police remain tight-lipped, a leaked snippet from the coroner's initial report suggests there were no visible signs of struggle. An odd fact, given the swirl of rumors about foul play. They lived on the fringes of Hollywood's brightest lights, yet Gene Hackman and his wife harbored a quiet intensity that turned them into a legend all their own. Born in the early 1930s, Gene carved his path from humble beginnings in small-town Illinois to the gilded stages of Los Angeles, defying every obstacle in his way. In truth, no one expected him to become one of the greatest actors of his generation, least of all Gene himself. He was famously rejected from countless auditions, told he lacked the right look or temperament. Still, he persisted, enlisting in the Marine Corps as a teenager before chasing his dream of acting with an unwavering determination. By the 1960s and 70s, Gene's dogged ambition paid off. Memorable roles in Bonnie and Clyde, The French Connection, and The Conversation catapulted him to stardom, displaying a rare talent for gruff, no-nonsense characters. Critics adored him, and so did the everyday moviegoers who found in his performances a gripping authenticity. Yet behind that rugged on-screen persona lived a man who yearned for seclusion and solace. Hollywood was exhilarating, but it was also demanding, eager to devour every ounce of privacy. And despite winning multiple Academy Awards, Gene discovered that fame did not translate to inner peace. Then came his wife, a figure of surprising contrast. If Gene was all gravitas and quiet intensity, she was said to be his calming center, someone who could settle the restless spirit beneath his grizzled exterior. She was deeply involved in the arts, yet kept a low profile, rarely granting interviews or appearing in public without her husband by her side. Close friends described their bond as unbreakable, the kind of companionship that rendered them inseparable, no matter where in the world Gene's career might take him. Over time, though, the spotlight began to feel like an unwanted intruder, an entity that never let them fully exhale. By the early 2000s, Gene had slipped away from the relentless pace of Hollywood, opting for a quiet life that many fans found puzzling. Why would a living legend, still very much in demand, vanish from the red carpets? Rumor had it that the couple felt haunted by the unceasing churn of tabloid headlines and paparazzi flashes. Retreating to Mexico, where they believed the rhythmic hush of ocean waves would drown out the pressures of the American entertainment machine, seemed like the most logical choice. Over time, their stateside presence shrank to almost nothing. Friends heard from them only sporadically. Some claimed they were happier than ever, soaking in golden sunsets and adopting a secluded, sun-kissed routine that resembled a perpetual vacation. Others whispered that Gene's stoic demeanor masked hidden stressors, lingering disputes, sour Hollywood dealings, or perhaps more esoteric concerns that took root abroad. All the while, speculation about the couple grew among those who craved the final chapter of Gene's illustrious story. Were they truly at peace? Or was their sudden disappearance from America's radar a silent cry for help? Did the hushed beaches of Mexico bring them freedom, or simply hide the burdens they had carried for too long? In these last years, fans remembered Gene Hackman as the force who gave us Unforgiven, Superman, and the Royal Tenenbaums. Yet they rarely saw the side of him desperate to escape the clamor of fame. The very life that made him a Hollywood icon was, perhaps, the life that pressed him to withdraw altogether. Now, With tragic headlines swirling around their final days, all that remains is an enigma. Who were they at the end of it all? A celebrated couple finding well-deserved tranquility on foreign shores, or two haunted souls running from troubles they could never outrun? That conundrum is why people continue to talk, dig for answers, and piece together countless theories. What secrets might remain hidden in the diaries, letters, or private confessions they left behind? And how did a couple so intricately bound by love and artistic spirit ultimately find themselves at the center of such a chilling mystery? Whether you see them as romantic exiles or tragic figures burdened by Hollywood's glare, the story of Gene Hackman and his wife holds a power that extends far beyond any film credits. It's a stark reminder that even legends can't fully escape the shadowy corners of their own narrative. One question still looms large in the minds of everyone touched by their story. If this final chapter was supposed to be their peaceful escape, then what truly drove them to that remote retreat in Mexico? And, more importantly, what followed them there? Some in law enforcement continue exploring the couple's final days, searching for any detail that might explain this strange tragedy. A few unsealed documents hint at tension over property rights. Friends mention that Gene Hackman, who was typically even-keeled, showed unusual anxiety about finances, a topic he'd rarely discussed before moving to Mexico. Even more puzzling are reports of an unidentified visitor spotted entering the estate late in the evening, only to vanish soon after. Combined with the caretaker's timeline discrepancies, these scattered clues paint a picture of heartbreak, mystery, and potential foul play. As details continue to emerge, one fact stands out. Nobody truly knows what befell Gene Hackman and his wife in those final hours. This was supposed to be a tranquil retirement, marked by the warm breezes and lush vistas of Mexico, yet it has now become an eerie puzzle. Did they stumble upon a threat they never anticipated? Did financial or personal tensions lead to something more sinister? The caretaker's role remains a central enigma, fueling the growing suspicion of an even darker story hidden beneath the surface. With so many unanswered questions, the late Hollywood legend's final chapter remains incomplete, leaving us all wondering how such a tragic fate could befall a beloved icon. What do you think truly happened within those walls? Were signs overlooked, or is the caretaker's account masking a deeper conspiracy? Leave your thoughts, stay alert for updates, and be sure to keep an open mind as we await the next shocking turn in this perplexing case.